Hi, I'm Irma, the Education USA advisor. Be sure to watch all the Education USA podcasts because you will get many insightful information from our expert speakers.
Halo semuanya, selamat datang di Podcast Mahakam, mimpi dan harapan untuk anak Kalimantan pergi ke Amerika. Jadi hari ini kita bersama dua tamu kita. Tentunya dua tamu kita ini berasal dari Amerika. Oke, tempat kita membahas topik-topik yang menarik dan juga bersama Miss Wendy dan tentunya Sir Walter.
Dr. Wendy Marie Erb, she is an expert in studying primates, animal behavior, conservation, and bioakustik. Now she works at the Ornithology Laboratory at Cornell University. After finishing her research and PhD, Wendy wanted to go back to Siberia, but she hasn't had the chance yet. Then she got another chance to go to Indonesia, but not to Siberia. She got a research contract to study orangutan in Tuanan, Central Kalimantan for 3 years. And Mr. Walker DePuy is a visiting fellow in Cornell University Southeast Asia Program (SEAP). He is trained as an environmental anthropologist. His research looking at the politics and sustainability of landscapes where people and nature live together. For his project called an integrative assessment of Indonesia capital relocation and forestry aspiration. He is supported by Mulawarman University Unmul in Samarinda, East Kalimantan. His research is from November 2022 to August 2023.
Miss Wendy, waktu pertama kali di Indonesia ini tentang meneliti apa nih kalau kita Miss Wendy?
Waktu pertama kali saya masuk ke Indonesia itu pada tahun 2005. Saya di sini sebagai mahasiswa S3 sedang mulai masih survei potensi di mana saya mau ambil penelitian untuk skripsi saya. Jadi pertama kali saya datang ke Indonesia itu di Padang. Terus dari Padang di Sumatera Barat saya naik kapal menuju ke Pulau Siberut di Kepulauan Mentawai. Nah, sesudah saya survei di situ 2 bulan, saya memutuskan ya ini tempatnya yang saya mau berbasis selama 2 tahun untuk penelitian S3 saya tentang perilaku dan konservasi dan komunikasi suatu spesies primata yang paling terancam punah di dunia, nama lokal simakobu. Lokalitasnya tidak ada simakobu di kebun binatang karena memang mereka semacam lutung atau primata yang makan daun untuk diet utama dia, dan kebanyakan lutung itu atau jenis pemakan daun itu dia sedikit susah untuk memelihara sebenarnya. Jadi nggak tahu kalau ada yang memang di kebun binatang karena primata itu endemik ke Kepulauan Mentawai. Jadi hanya bisa melihat spesies primata itu di 4 pulau di Kepulauan Mentawai.
Mungkin cuma wajahnya mirip gitu ya. Mungkin mirip gitu ya.
Mungkin memang ada yang dipelihara.
Maybe ya. Oke, untuk selanjutnya mungkin dari Mr. Walker. Mr. Walker di sini udah mungkin 10 tahun, 12 tahun ya belajar bahasa Indonesia. Itu awal-awal kesini itu tujuannya belajar untuk S3 gitu ya?
Ya, jadi pertama kali saya datang ke Indonesia itu memang pada tahun 2013. Nah, saya meneliti dengan lembaga namanya C4, dan itu memang berpusat di Bogor, di Jawa Barat. Nah, penelitiannya itu memang fokus kepada pemantauan karbon yang ada di hutan di seluruh Indonesia. Jadi fokus penelitian saya sambil proyek itu memang di Papua. Ya, jadi memang pertama kali saya datang ke Indonesia itu memang saya tinggal di Bogor, terus 2 bulan di Papua.
2 bulan di Papua.
Ya, jadi itu memang seperti Wendy bilang, itu memang salah satu kesempatan untuk mensurvey pilihannya untuk proyek disertasiku untuk S3. Terus setelah 7 bulan itu saya pulang ke Amerika dan berpikir bagaimana memang saya mau buat penelitian S3 di Indonesia.
what do you guys first impression when you guys landed in maybe in Kalimantan, especially in East Kalimantan? How do you guys first impression maybe? Maybe it's really hard here because we are in Southeast Asia right now. What do you guys first impression like that when you guys first landed there? You guys can answer both as well.
Sure. I guess the first time I came to East Kalimantan, it would have been March or April of 2017. Previously, I had spent most of my time in Indonesia in Java, spending time in Bogor, as I said, Yogyakarta, Malang, Salatiga, Jakarta, and so East Kalimantan, felt very different. It was really beautiful. The expanses of forest were just really extraordinary to see. It was really wonderful to see the diversity of food from different people, like from Sulawesi that often were around in the various towns and cities. And then also just to see the different kinds of land uses that you could see from an airplane or from a riverbank with the boats, with all the coal, or the palm oil. It was really different than my previous experiences, and so I was really excited to get to spend over a year there.
Oh, it's wonderful to hear that. How about Miss Wendy when Miss Wendy just first landed in East Kalimantan? How about your first impression?
In East Kalimantan, my first time to come was January 2020.
2020. Oh,
2020.
Oh, it's been 5 years by now.
Yeah, already 5 years. Crazy. So I flew here from Palangkaraya to Samarinda. And so I knew Kalimantan already since 2013, but mostly in the hutan gambut, so the peat swamp forest in central Kalimantan, and also some hutan kerangas, like a heath forest with a sandy soil. So, and then also Dayak Ngaju is the main indigenous community in central Kalimantan. So that was my reference point for Kalimantan before I came to East Kalimantan. So of course, when I come to East Kalimantan, I notice more different cultures here, like Walker described, more people from other parts of Indonesia, from Java, from Sulawesi, also different suku asli, different indigenous communities, different Dayak Kenya, also Pasir, also Balik, and other indigenous Kutai. And then the geography is very different from central Kalimantan, where I worked, was very flat. And here it's hilly, and the soil is red and clay, and the forest, the trees are different, and so many animals that are similar, but some little differences. Like there's this really cool millipede in the forest. It's very short and gendut, and it rolls into a ball when people walk by. And so in central Kalimantan we have it, but it's abu-abu, it's gray or black. And in East Kalimantan we have it too, but it's orange. So it's the same animal but a different color. So that was something I noticed right away when I came here. And also like tarantula. I never saw tarantula when I worked in central Kalimantan, but in East Kalimantan sering I get to see tarantula. Yeah, they're cool. They're really cool animals. And then, of course, as Walker mentioned, the different kinds of land use here compared to in the hutan gambut. Here you have a lot more mining, right? And the coal mines are very visible when you're flying into Samarinda. You can see it's a very different looking landscape. It looks different and it feels different.
You guys know East Kalimantan is the first kingdom in Indonesia. The name of the kingdom is Kota, right?
Oh right, and Mulawarman is one of the like the king, the sultan, or right?
The first kingdom just based in Indonesia is the first one is Kota in East Kalimantan.
Yeah, that's amazing history also.
Just because and I'm also Kotainese also, that's why I knew that.
Oh, that's amazing.
Can you give us an example from your research in Kalimantan where human activity clearly change how an animal behavior.
Yeah, there's a million examples that I could give, really, but one that comes directly to mind because of where my research is based now in Kota National Park, where our research camp is located right next to the Sangata River. And then on the other side of the Sangata River is Kalimantan Tengah coal area, which, as far as I understand, is the largest coal mine in the world. And there they do dynamite blasting just about every day. And when they do the blasting, sometimes it's very, very loud and you can almost feel the blasting. And oftentimes the orangutan living in the forest, when they hear that noise, they respond very quickly with a special sound or vocalization called a long call. And the big adult flange males, they will make this big long call after they hear the blasting. And of course, we don't really understand why they react that way to the blasting, if it's like a shock or a surprise, or if it's some kind of threat to them that they're responding to. But it's very intense and clear that this human activity of coal mining has this behavioral impact on these animals. I mean, animals certainly, they have their own sensory worlds that we can only imagine, and there's a limit to how much we can know with our sensory systems and our technology and equipment. There will always be a gap and a mystery there in terms of what they are experiencing and what they're thinking when they experience. But I think certainly for an orangutan, hearing a very loud, sudden sound like that, it's shocking, it's surprising, it's like, ah! And maybe they're just yelling in shock and surprise, but maybe they're also responding. Like maybe it's a form of communication to the machine, to the people who are doing the mining.
Can you explain it what's the meaning about bioakustik like that? Because we don't really understand about this.
Yeah, bioacoustics, it's a little bit still growing in Indonesia, so not everyone knows about bioacoustics yet.
Okay.
I think the simplest way to define bioacoustics is to break the word into the two parts. So there's bio and acoustics. Bio is, of course, the study of life, so living things, and acoustics is sound. So it's the study of the sound of living things, or maybe the sound of nature, we could say. Though technically humans are part of nature, and so human sounds can also be under the umbrella of bioacoustics, and even plant sounds or other sounds of nature or the soil can also be studied under the field of bioacoustics. But for me, my research is mostly on the sounds of the rainforests in Borneo, and I'm most interested in the sounds of the primates because that's what my PhD is in, primate ecology and behavior.
Okay. So, Mr. Walker have taken anthropology. What is the meaning about anthropology about your research? Because I don't really understand either about anthropology.
Sure. Anthropology is the study of human and non-human primates, and really the focus is on trying to understand how social worlds have existed and changed across time and space. And so I'm a cultural anthropologist, and so my focus is really on how people make meaning in the world, and then specifically within that field I focus on environmental anthropology. So I look at how people relate to the environments and places where they live.
I have to ask the question, maybe when you see the vast rate of forest clearing, deforestation, it's most like the deforestation or the effect of climate change in Kalimantan, what still gives you hope for the future?
It's a great question. There's certainly a lot of environmental degradation and loss of forests that have happened over time in response to climate change and things like forest fires, particularly in peatlands, right? That can eat thousands of hectares of forest like that. And so it can be, you see these charred landscapes, and it can be hard to find hope in the smoke and the ashes. For me personally, I draw so much hope and inspiration from the local communities that Walker and I have had the privilege and opportunity to work closely with for the last 3 years, almost 3 years. And in the face of all of the day-to-day challenges that they face, the generation to generation challenges that they face, healthcare, changes in the economy, changes in livelihoods and rights and access to forests, and the risk of the loss of their culture and knowledge. In the face of all of those big risks and threats to their lives, they continue to be hopeful. They continue to wake up every day and try to make better lives for their children, for the next generation. And so when they continue to be hopeful and fighting for a better future, it brings so much strength and hope and inspiration to me. So I definitely feed off of their hope. It brings me so much hope.
How about Mr. Walker?
Yeah, I certainly would echo those words and that sentiment. And I guess I would also just say that spending time with students here in Indonesia and in East Kalimantan has also been just an incredible source of inspiration and kind of a beacon in this time, just to see how engaged students are around issues of climate change, around sort of these larger questions of how to make a livable and sustainable and fulfilling world for their generation and those generations to come. And so it's just always wonderful to see that those values and those ideas are being discussed, are being prioritized, and it's just really an honor to be a part of those conversations. Like we've said, I mean, I think I draw a lot of strength and hope from the people that I have the chance to work with, whether that's students, whether that's community members, whether that's colleagues like Wendy. I think that it's a big world and it faces lots of challenges, but the passion and drive of people and the goodness that comes out of interactions with people every day really helps keep me focused on moving forward and making change.
That is a right. That's great answer. But for a student from a small village in Kalimantan who dreams of becoming wildlife scientist or someone who protect nature, like a conservationist, what are you guys top three tips to help them to prepare for the career, for that career?
It's an important question. I would hesitate to even imply that there's only one way to contribute to wildlife research or conservation. And in some ways, the most powerful and effective paths for local Kalimantan people to become involved. I'm not a great person to give that advice to, because so much of the power to be involved comes from actually learning from their parents, from their grandparents, There's so much rich local knowledge and history. Walker and I are so lucky to have a research project that focuses on understanding what people know about the forests around them and how they know it. And we're very interested in how they know it using sound. So perhaps an example is like using the sound of a cicada to know what time it is. You hear the cicada call and you're like, oh, it's 5:30. It's time for me to go home and have dinner and take a mandi and spend time with my family. Or it's because they hear a bird in a particular context. They know this bird is signaling that something has happened. Maybe there's been a death in the community. And understanding that there's so much that is already known and knowable about nature, about wildlife and conservation that already exists in the culture and the history of East Kalimantan. I think that's so powerful, and it needs to have more respect and needs to be elevated as a really authentic way and valuable way to contribute to conservation knowledge, research, and science. Otherwise, for people who are interested in pursuing an academic career, going through higher education and universities to become a scholar who perhaps writes and thinks and analyzes information about the natural world to share with the larger public, I think that there's many paths to that career, and I think the best advice that I can give is to believe in yourself, to never let people take your dreams away from you, and to know that if you keep pushing and trying and following your own path and your own heart, that you will find a way to get to where you're going.
Yes, I heard about Miss Wendy since Miss Wendy was a kid. Miss Wendy always loved to think like a little lizard, maybe like a snake or maybe a lizard. because it's not like an usual kids who want to play like a little lizard or maybe a snake like that, because we kind of scared to play with it.
Yeah, luckily in America we don't have so many venomous snakes. There's only a few in the places that I live, so I could easily learn the snakes that were dangerous, and everything else was fine and safe. So yeah, I just grew up in a family who we spent a lot of time in nature, hiking and camping. My father liked to fish, and so it was instilled in me when I was very young that nature is a place where you go to refresh, you can learn to identify plants and animals, you can understand things about behavior and communication. And so I think for me, just getting that opportunity to spend so much time in nature and with such a curious mind, that sort of became the magic chemistry to unlock my passion for studying animal behavior from the time I was very young.
That's why in your biography you said like your father said like do whatever you want or do whatever you like that. That's why you or do whatever you love like that. That's why it brings you until in this time as you said like.
I think so, and I think that's a powerful lesson that there's many different paths you can start on. There's many different things that can become your spark to ignite you towards your journey. So I think the important thing is to notice, to listen, and to pay attention to when your spark is lit, and to make sure to not ever let anyone put that out.
Mr. Walker, what final message would you like to give our listener about their part in making a greener future for Kalimantan?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a big question. That's a hard question.
You can do it.
I would say that there's several ways that you can contribute and contribute to that goal, right? I think learning is essential. Being curious is invaluable and is the first step to anything. Building relationships and building community so that you recognize that the change that's going to happen and the goals that you're going to pursue, whether that's around wildlife conservation, whether that's around promoting a cleaner, healthier environment, whether that's around promoting more nutritious food options, that these things will happen not by individuals and that you're not alone in doing this work. And so doing it with other people and cultivating those relationships and communities, I would say is the second key tip. And then third, I would say to just remember that it's a project that will last a lifetime. That this is not something that will happen overnight, but that this is something that builds on itself, and that you can find renewal and growth in over time. And so to not be discouraged if you don't see immediate change, but to believe in what you're doing and to recognize that each little step helps contribute down the line to the goal for the months and years and decades to come.
Maybe the podcast, the episode 1 about Podcast Mahakam, I think that's all of it for today. Maybe if you guys have any question, maybe you guys can send it to email, maybe email to the Education USA if you guys curious about this program. And also thank you for the opportunity today because I don't have any much chance either to speak with native speaker like this. So I'm kind of happy. Neither I'm also like, or is it nervous like that speaking English language. So thank you so much for the opportunity for today, Miss. I think that's all of it. Thank you semuanya. Mungkin sekian dari kita. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
How was that? Very insightful, right? Okay, if you would like to know more information, visit Education USA Center in your city or book advising session at Calendly and follow our Instagram at Education USA Indonesia. See you!